All right. Hey, everyone. I'm so ridiculously excited about the Zoom tonight. Thank you to the girls that jumped on to let me ask you some questions and pick your brain tonight. I think this is probably the #1 question I get from distributors is how do I sign distributors? How do I find them? How do I sign them? How do I seal the deal? So we're going to give you the best of the best tips that we've got tonight. So I'm going to try to make it quick, but I also want it to be very informative and helpful for all of you guys. Sometimes I think we put so much pressure on going out and finding people that want to sell products that we forget what a gift we have and what an awesome opportunity we get to present people with on a daily basis. And the cool thing is you never know when you're going to wake up and talk to someone and this business is going to totally change their life. So there's a lot of different things that I want you to hear tonight, but I just want to start with something that I ran some numbers today and I wanted you guys to hear this because it kind of blew my mind. I went back. I've been in the business for 4.5 years. For those of you that don't know, I'm your presidential upline if you're on this Zoom. I've been in the business. It'll be 5 years in September. And I went back and I looked at my first year in the business, or the first 16 months technically, because I signed up in September. And in those 16 months, I signed 24 distributors, okay? Which a lot of you are thinking that's a ton of distributors. Some of you are not impressed, just depending on what rank you are. But I went triple diamond in my first 6.5 months. So I didn't even sign nearly enough to go triple diamond. And that is the cool thing about this business is it's more about finding a couple of the right people and not necessarily being a rock star recruiter. So I want you to hear that. You're going to hear from a lot of people that are really good at signing distributors. But you don't have to be incredible and amazing. You don't have to be a rock star distributor to be, or a recruiter to be very successful in this business. So I signed 24 distributors that first 16 months or so. My second year, which was 2013, I signed 23 distributors, so one less. In my third year, I signed 20, okay? So not the best trend, okay? I'm getting worse. I'm signing less distributors by my third year. And 2015, last year, guys, I signed 70. So 24, 23, 20. In my fourth year, I signed 70. So for those of you thinking that you will not sign your first distributor, you will. For those of you thinking that you will never be a strong recruiter, you can be. For those of you that feel like you talk to every single person that you know and people aren't interested or that you've kind of run dry, not true. For those of you that feel like your best weeks, months, even years in this business are already behind you, I can assure you that it does not have to be that way. And yeah, so I wanted you guys to hear that, and I'll kind of share some things that I think that changed in my business that allowed that to happen. A lot of it, I think, was just an attitude shift in me, but I'll kind of just throw out bits and pieces here and there because I want to go ahead and get started with the girls that I have on the Zoom tonight that I want you guys to hear from. So I just am going to ask them, we'll go, is Christy still on here? Let's see here. She disappeared from where she was earlier. Yeah, there she is. Okay. So I'm going to go in the order that we talked about. If you're on here, you know that order. I want you guys to introduce yourself real quick, tell everyone your name, how long it took you to join, what your excuse was for not joining right away, if you had one, and if you had tried a product before you started. Okay, so take it away, Christy.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's a little bit quiet, but.
Okay, I might have to take this out. Is that better?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not at home, so. Well, my name is Christy Mitchell, and I joined, can you hear me now? Is that better?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so my name is Christy Mitchell. I joined the business August of 2012, about 3.5 years ago. I joined, I was asked by my sponsor, Kim, and I joined that same week. So I didn't think I was for very long. What was the other question? I don't think I got that.
So what your excuse was, if you had one, had you tried a product before you started? And I forgot to say how long it took you to go diamond.
Okay. My excuse when I first started, I almost didn't sign up because I was not in the most comfortable with being where I was. But I did it because Kim was one of my really good friends, and so I just wanted to kind of help her out. And she had just started, and so I was like, well, might as well do it. So I didn't really, that was the only excuse I really had. And then it took me 9 months to go diamond. And I stayed at diamond for about 2 years. So what was the other question? I'm sorry.
And had you tried a product before you started? Oh. Just so everyone knows, she's a triple diamond now.
I actually, at the 121 mission that Kim made me go to, that I almost turned around and went home because I got lost in Fort Worth. I was supposed to leave at the lunch break because she only told me I had to stay until the lunch. Well, at lunch, I was like, well, let me just go ahead and try one of those wraps. So she put a wrap on me in the bathroom. And of course I had to stay in, 45 minutes. I was going back and getting the little glasses of water that were about this big. And all I knew is I needed to drink a lot of water. So I got up like 25 times because I was like, I need this wrap to work because I'm going out tonight. And so she took it off and I was like, okay, well, this is awesome. I didn't have the $99. And so I told her I'm going to have to wait till Friday when I get paid. And so that's what I did. So that's the only product I used. And I wasn't able to buy any products until I got my $120 in free product. And so I got my 4 loyal customers before my kit came in. So.
Love it. All right. Next up. Where is she? There she is. I think she's unmuting herself. There we go. All right, Nina, take it away.
I was trying to pull up your 3 questions.
Your name, which I already told everyone, Nina.
I am Nina.
How long did it take you to join? What was your excuse if you had one? Had you tried a product, and how long did it take you to go diamond?
So I didn't really wait to sign up. As soon as my mother-in-law told me about the business, and I pretty much signed up right away. I had no idea what it was. I had never tried a product. I had no idea what network marketing was at the time. It took me 3.5 years to go diamond. And what was the first 3 people?
Oh, no, hold on. Well, I'll do it next. That's perfect. So did you guys hear that? Took her 3.5 years to go diamond?
3.5 years to go diamond.
She's a top enroller as of last year. Okay, I wish we could listen to your whole story right now. But, okay, so next, Lindsay.
Hi, I'm Lindsay. I joined February last year, and Alyssa had reached out. Well, so I was a loyal customer for years, not active. I, completed my 3 months, but I had tried wraps, defining gel. She actually sent me samples of green, but it was orange, and I'm Team Berry.
That's all we had at the time.
Yeah, I know. They're disgusting. And so I was like, this is gross, but I liked the wraps and defining gel and fat fighters. And so I tried those, and I knew I liked the products. I ordered wraps off and on for years. And then last year, Alyssa messaged me asking if I'd ever considered the business. And my excuse was that I have anxiety and I'm painfully shy. I don't like talking to people. Talking to people makes me sweat in the worst kind of way. I hate it. And so that was my big excuse. But I was so broke that I just did it anyway. 7 days later, I signed up after praying about it for a week. And it took me 5 months to go diamond.
Perfect. Next.
Okay, I'm Andrea. My friend Christina tried to get me to sign up for about 3 years, and I kept telling her no because, first of all, I didn't have time for that. That's what I kept saying. I'm too busy, single mom, have a bunch of jobs going on, just didn't have time. And then also I had done network marketing before, and I wasted a lot of money and a lot of time, so I was just very against any of this, actually. I even did a wrap party. I agreed to do a wrap party for her. I had like awesome results, actually. I just had a C-section. I had crazy results my first time. I didn't actually see the results. I was like, this was a waste of money. But she was like, did you take your after pictures? And I was like, no. And she kept hounding me, take your after pictures. So finally, I took my 3-day picture. I didn't even take one when I took it off. Finally took one on my 3rd day, and then I saw crazy results when I held them up. But that still didn't convince me. I was a loyal customer on the greens, but I still just, I don't know. I was just like, I don't have time for this. You know, it's just one of those network marketing things. But it wasn't until actually she came to my work and was doing a free wrap drawing. And for the girls there, my housekeepers, they were like, we want to buy wrap right now. Can she come and wrap us tomorrow? And they gave me $100. And I was like, what? Like, I didn't even have to do any presentation for y'all. Like, I just showed you this catalog and these pictures, and you guys each gave me $25. So I was like, hey, Christina, I got your free wrap drawings filled out, and I also got $100, and they want wraps, like, tomorrow. So can you come wrap these girls? And so then, it was then when I saw the cha-ching, I saw the dollar signs, and I was like, dang it, I should have been a distributor. I could have totally I could be making money right now. So it was at that moment that she was like, you can actually use that money and purchase your business kit and then give the wrap on whenever your wraps come in. So that's how I signed up, was actually seeing people actually buy the wrap. And it took me 7 months to go diamond.
Awesome. Okay, and Tiffany could not get on. She's got some stuff going on tonight. So I do have her notes that she sent to me, and she has a really awesome story. I actually have never been able to speak to her, and this was going to be the first time, but I guess I'll meet her this weekend in Amarillo. But she said she moved to Amarillo. She's actually enrolled by Nina, so Nina, you can help, but she moved to Amarillo at the end of July, and she talked to Nina off and on. She had used hair, skin, and nails before. She went diamond in 4 months. Okay. She signed October 2nd, and she didn't sign her first distributor until October 29th, which I thought was awesome because she still went diamond in 4 months and almost went a whole month before signing a distributor. So I'll give you some of her tips as we go along, but I did want to give her a shout out because she just went diamond, last month? So, okay. So I'm going to ask you each to answer one more question for me, and we'll just kind of quickly go through this, and then obviously we'll do a one-on-one little interview with each of you. But think back to your first 3 distributors that you signed. Where did they come from? Who are they? Who were they? How did you contact them? And then what is the longest you've ever had to follow up with someone before they joined you in the business? Okay. And I'll start. To be honest, I don't even remember who my first 3 distributors were. I should have looked before, but I did want to tell you that there are people that I've talked to for 3 years before they joined this business. Andrea did not join with me. She joined with someone else. But she's a perfect example. Like, think Lindsay too. You know, she was a loyal customer of mine for 3 years before she joined this business. What if I would have quit before Lindsay was ready to join? She went diamond in 5 months and then double diamond a couple months later. Andrea's double diamond. Like, what if Christina would have quit and Andrea would have never joined this business? I want you guys, and that's part of the reason I want them all to share with you, because that is fairly common. You're not going to have to wait years for all of your rock stars, but sometimes it's worth waiting with people and following up and over and over and over. That's just a part of the business. So, Christy, go ahead and just, who were your first 3 distributors? Where'd they come from? And how long have you had to follow up with people to get them to join?
Well, I know my very first distributor. I signed up on 30 minutes after I signed up, and that was Kelly Thurman.
Yep.
So she had called me and she said, asked me what I was doing, and I told her, I was like, I'm busy right now. I'm starting my own business. I'll call you back later. And she was like, what are you doing? And I was like, what's this wrap thing? And she was like, well, I want to do it. And I was like, okay, well, let me get in the system and then you can. So that's how that happened. And so I thought, this is going to be really easy. People are going to call me and ask me to sign up. And then I can't remember my next two. But it took me a while. I know that I started in August and my first conference was Ruby. So I know I didn't grow very fast the first few months. So I can't remember my next two. That's kind of all of a blur. But I'm glad Kelly Thurman did sign up because of people she signed up is how I got to Triple Diamond. So, and as the longest I've had to follow up with people, probably 2 years. I mean, I've been following up with people that I've been following up with since I started. So I don't ever stop until they tell me, leave me alone. And I don't really have that so much. So I just follow up every time I go through my messages. And it might be like I might wait about a month or two if I haven't heard from them, but I do continue. I'd never stop following up until they just block me on Facebook or something.
Perfect.
That has happened.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, Nina, what about
my first, I didn't sign, I was trying to look back at the date and I couldn't find it. I didn't sign my first distributor for like 3 or 4 months. When I signed up, like I said, I didn't really know what it was. I didn't know what I was doing. And I just kind of signed up and then hung out. My first distributor was Crystal, who's still in the business. She's a Ruby. And then I signed my mom, and at the time we were taught to enter your spouse right away and build them, and so that's what I did. They were my first 3. And the longest I've followed up, same as Christy, I still follow up with people that I started talking to almost 4 years ago. And occasionally, they'll start signing up. I've probably signed up people recently that I started talking to 2 or 3 years ago. So I just continue to sign up or to follow up with people that I've started talking to as soon as I joined the business.
Just because you never know. It looks
like Nicole, she just commented in the chat. She was one of the people I started talking to probably 3 or 4 years ago that just signed up.
Timing is so much with this business. There's people that, I use Lindsay as an example because she's on here, but I'm like, man, I wish I could have signed you 3 years ago, but she always says I would have quit if I would have signed up 3 years ago. So sometimes it really is just timing, and it doesn't mean that they're not going to be a rock star or they're not going to take off just because they don't sign up the first time that you talk to them.
Absolutely.
Lindsay?
My first 3, my first one I didn't sign for about a month and a half of being in the business, and it was my sister. Her. And my second one was a girl that was 3 years younger than me and went to my same high school. Only ever talked to her because she was the manager of our volleyball team. And I just reached out to her on Facebook and, sent her a genuine message of why I thought she'd be good at what I was doing, and she joined. And then my third one was a girl I went to college with who I just like to hang out with. And so I talked to her, and she didn't sign up immediately like the other one did, but she signed up eventually. So those are my first 3. And the longest I've had to follow up, I just had some, my longest to put in the computer is following up for 8 months. But, I've been in for 13 months. So, 8 months. And then I had someone yesterday contact me that she's ready, and it's after 10 months of being in business.
So are you guys noticing anything? Like Lindsay had someone that didn't join for 10 months and or 8 months, I guess, technically so far. But same with Nina. Like, she didn't even sign a distributor for 3 or 4 months. So when you've got people that are joining your team and they're not signing their first distributor for 3 or 4 months, it doesn't mean that they're not going to go out and go diamond and then double diamond 3 years later. Lindsay didn't sign anyone until after she went to It Works You. She had been in for about 6 weeks. So just because you're not signing someone in your first month, just because you don't get the Ruby bonus, just because you don't reach a certain goal does not mean that you can't still make a silly amount of money with this company. I have a girl on my team that got started so slow. She didn't get her first 4, but she's almost Emerald now. Yep. So, Andrea?
Okay, so I'm like Lindsay. I didn't get my first distributor signed for about a month and a half. And the first two distributors I had, Leah and Kelly, they were actually my loyal customers, and they both had awesome results. And I texted Leah. She had been a customer for about a month, and I said, she was my very first customer, and I said, I know you love your wrap results. Hey, can we just get together tomorrow and talk about making extra money since, you know, you're already using the products? And she said, sure. And I was like, really? And she signed up right when we met. It was crazy. And so then I was like, oh, that's fun. So then the next day I called Kelly. She had been a distributor for about 2 days. And she was one of those, like, super excited about her results. She was posting on Facebook. And the instant I signed her up as a customer, I knew she'd be an awesome distributor because she was, like, so excited. And as soon as she ordered, she blasted it on her Facebook. And, like, this girl, she measured herself every hour on the hour for 72 hours.
That's intense.
So when I saw that, I was like, you seriously would be so awesome. So messaged her. We got her signed up that day. And then my other one was one of my my best friend, Mandy. And let's see, we'll go back to the questions. The longest I've had to follow up, the same with all of them. This entire time, you know, last month I just signed up 2 of the people that I approached probably my second month in business. So I'm still following up. Unlike Christy, I'm always following up with people. And, you know, I try to follow the 2-month rule, the 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months. I try to do that. And sometimes I'll kind of forget, and I'll see somebody post on Facebook, and I'm like, oh, man, I haven't followed up with her in like 3 or 4 months. I better message her. So I'm constantly just checking back with people.
I think too many times we've got new distributors that think if someone ignores them or says no or has an excuse or doesn't have the money, we immediately write those people off. I can't tell you how many times I have girls that are like, I have no potential distributors. And then we start talking about it, and they're like, well, that girl didn't have the money, or that girl said she's too busy. Those are your potential distributors. Like, those are the people that we're talking about when we're talking about potential distributors. Those are the people that you're following up with.
I seriously don't take no for an answer unless they're just like, no, I never want to do this. Do not ever ask me again, which that hasn't happened. So.
I've never had that happen. So, you know, if they've expressed interest at some point, then I feel like they will sign up at some point. They might blow me off. They might have excuses for 4 years, but they will eventually sign up, at least in my experience, or at least become a loyal customer. So definitely don't write people off. You know, a lot of people have a rule, like they'll follow up with someone 6 times. I will follow up with someone 60 times or 600 times because I don't know if I've ever had a distributor sign that I haven't had to follow up with. Even if it's the next day and they join the next day, or we talk in the morning and I follow up with them that night, there is not anyone that's just like, sure, here's my social and my credit card, put me in, let's do this thing. Like, people just, they're not like that. So don't write off your potentials just because they're not ready right then and there. But that is part of the reason that we want you guys to start planting seeds and to start talking to people, because then they're going to join a little bit sooner than if you wait 3 months to talk to them for the first time. So, okay, I have questions for each of these girls kind of based on their stories and kind of knowing their strengths. So we're going to talk about, you know, what to say when people tell you no or tell you that they don't have the money or they don't have the time. And so, Christy, I'm going to start with you. Do you have any tips for everyone? You are amazing at blitzing and talking to strangers more than anyone probably I know. And do you have any tips for approaching maybe strangers or people that you don't necessarily know about the business?
Well, I don't normally just approach strangers. I usually try to bring attention to myself.
Yeah.
And hang out on patios and stuff, but just try somehow, some way to bring up a conversation. I don't know. I'm really good at bringing attention to myself. I usually do something really stupid, or I don't know. So once I start a conversation with somebody and they show interest, I just always get the first question out of the way. Would you be more interested in making extra money, or would you be interested in just trying the product? So just getting that question out of the way first. And then I have found too that approaching people about making extra money is easier than approaching them about trying the products, because they might think I think they need it. So, so I have been doing that lately, and it's really worked well, because then if they're not interested in making money, then they can go into what kind of products we have. And instead of like starting out with the weight loss stuff, I've been starting out with the hair vitamins, because I've had good results with that. My hair's really long. So I'm growing. So that's a journey that I'm going on. And so in the skincare, you know, approaching somebody and saying, oh my gosh, you have the best skin. What skincare do you use? And so that's been a really easy way to go into the products as well. So
yeah, something that, because I don't like blitzing and I'm not as good at about drawing attention to myself as Christy, I try to find, when I'm out, I try to find a reason that someone would be good at this business, whether they're just super friendly or super outgoing or whatever. And my line is usually like, you know, you've been so helpful today, or, you know, is this your only source of income? I think you'd be really good at what I do. And you know, usually at that point, they want to know what I do. And, you know, it's a good way for me to be able to give them my business card. So, do you have any tips for if you meet people out, how do you reconnect with them? Because again, usually people don't sign there on the spot. So how do you get their contact info?
well, one of the things that I do, can you hear me? Does it sound like you were breaking up?
Oh yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, good. One of the things that I do that I'm more comfortable with doing, that I know some people aren't that comfortable at, is I'm better at getting people on my Facebook. So I have just gotten, I'll just take my phone out and say, do you have Facebook? Do you want to be friends on Facebook? And that's easy for me to ask instead of asking for their phone number. And then once I get them on my Facebook, like every couple of days after I know I've added a few people, I'll go to my recently added friends, and I'll make sure that I go to their page and check out what kind of person they are. And if, you know, maybe like some of their stuff, comment on some of their stuff, and then message them and say, hey, it was really nice meeting you, wherever I met you, I don't know. And then start a conversation. And so that's easier for me to get them on my Facebook than get their phone number.
Well, I feel the same way. For me, it's more awkward to ask for their phone number. Okay, so I know this is a common thing that a lot of us hear. What do you tell someone if they say, I'm not a salesperson, or I don't think I'd be good at it? You know, I don't have that personality type.
I normally tell people that, I mean, I know the answer that we always say, and it's just, this is truly just the only answer, is I really don't even like salespeople. And I always think of walking through the mall, and people are always trying to it's always when you're in a really big hurry, and they're like, here, can I put this lotion on your hand? And you're like, no, I'm busy. And so I don't really think, I've kind of like started changing it around. Like we don't really sell. As long as you're taking the products and you love the products, and all we're doing is really sharing, the products sell themselves. So it's just, we don't want salespeople on our team. We want fun people. So
yeah, that's usually my response is good. I don't want you to be a salesperson. Okay, and then if you'll leave everyone like with your number one tip for signing distributors. I know you had like your best year ever last year as far as signing distributors. What's your number one tip for everyone?
My number one tip would be, last year when I signed the most distributors that I've ever signed, I finally, for the first time since I started, I really hit my warm market. I think when I first started, I didn't hit my warm market because I was afraid. And so I just started asking so many people, and that's the whole thing, is just asking. And so many people just don't ask. If you really think about it, how many people have you asked? So that would be my tip, is just don't be afraid to ask people if they want to make extra money, or tell them, instead of just asking them, hey, do you want to be on my team? Tell them why. Like, this is why I think you'd be great on my team. I think you have a great personality. I think I would love to work with you. And maybe let them know why they would be good at it. And so, yeah.
Perfect. I think that's good. That's why I made that post today about how many of you guys have asked someone to join your team today. Because I think too often we make all these posts on Facebook just thinking someone's going to say, hey, you know, can I start my own business with you? And that rarely happens. I think people are more flattered when we go after them and tell them why they would be good at it, and we ask them to do this with us. I think that's.
Yeah, I think too, being more genuine and being yourself and not using those cookie cutter messages. I mean, those cookie cutter messages are just to give you like an idea, but be sure to not just send that. I did that for like a whole week one time, like a long time ago, and I didn't realize that it said, hey, Susie, and I sent it to like every one of my potentials, and it was really embarrassing. So
I had to be like, I call everyone Susie.
Yeah. And so I realized that, man, like I should have been like, I need to be more genuine, because I mean, can you imagine all those people? Like I was humiliated because it just looked like I was just like copy paste, which I was. So that was a secret I was never going to tell anybody.
Well, thanks for sharing. I have had people that have like, you know, I'll say, hey, and I'll have a blank, like a line, and then they send that out to people, and that's really awkward. Or if you include the quotation marks, that's bad too. In my opinion, if you can message more than like 20 people in a day, and there's going to be exceptions, but if you can message more than 20 people about the business, you're not spending enough time on those messages. So you should rarely ever, if ever, get a response and someone's like very negative, or, you know, they should at least be saying, you know, thank you so much for thinking of me, or, you know, at least trying to catch up with you about your life, if nothing else. So if you're getting a negative response, or you're not at least getting no thank yous, then, you know, ask your sponsors for some help on your messages. And, you know, it doesn't always come naturally, especially when you don't know the people super well, but there's definitely a right way to do it. So thank you, Christy. Nina, few questions for you. So let's start with, what are your best follow-up tips when it comes to signing distributors, since we've been talking a lot about follow-up?
Mine would be to be consistent. We have to remember, one of the things I remember that we learned, or I learned whenever we first signed up, I think it was Ashley that said it, was that no doesn't mean no necessarily. It might just mean not right now. And you talked a little bit about it already, but the timing is everything for people. People's situations change, you know, every few months throughout a year, everything will change. And just because they may have said, you know, not right now a couple months ago, doesn't mean that it might not be the right time now. And to not worry so much about bugging people, not worry so much about, well, I messaged them and, you know, they may not have responded, or they may have just said, I'm not interested, but don't worry about that whenever you're following up, because, you know, this is our priority. And I think we're always thinking about it. And so we feel like, well, they saw my post and they didn't say anything, or, you know, they probably read that message, or they did, you see that they read it, but they didn't respond. And so then you just think that you're bugging them, but not to worry about that. And to be, like you just said, genuine with your messages. And if you're worried you're bugging them, just message them and tell them that. Say, hey, I hope I'm not bugging you. But, you know, I'm still thinking about you. I still think that you'd be great at this business. And to just be real with them, and don't copy and paste so much, and just tell them exactly how you're feeling and that you think they'd be great at the business. But to be consistent would be the most important follow-up tip, is to consistently follow up.
I like what you said about people going through life changes, because I think it was a Diamond Weekend a while back. Ashley said, and I think it was from a book, but people go through major life changes every 9 months or so. And if you think about it, with marriages and babies and tragedies in people's lives, people go through crazy things every 6 to 9 months. So even though someone told you no 6 months ago, it doesn't hurt to, if there's someone that's been on your mind, or someone that you know would be awesome at this business, even if they ignored you before, going back and saying, look, I know this wasn't for you before, or, you know, we never really got to talk about it, I've still been thinking about how amazing you would be at this business. Would you at least, grab coffee with me so we can talk about it? Or, could I at least send you some more info before you make your decision? And seeing where they're at, because you just never know. And sometimes people don't totally understand the business, or they're embarrassed to come back to you and say, okay, I'm sorry I ignored you for a year. Like sometimes people would rather just not message you at all. So definitely not ever giving up on people, especially the people you feel strongly about. Okay, so let's say someone comes to you on your team and says, I just can't find a distributor. Like no one wants to be a distributor. What would be your advice?
I would ask them, where are you looking? What have you tried? Have you been consistently posting? Have you been consistently following up? Have you had a party? Have you asked your friends and family? I think so many people are afraid to ask in the first place because they feel like they're bugging, or a lot of people just prejudge, they'd be like, oh, she would never be interested in this business. And, oh, she has her life made. She doesn't need this business, or her husband makes a ton of money. She wouldn't want to do this. And you're not actually asking anyone. So, I would tell them, make a hundreds list of people, take out all of your, your judgments about if you think that they need this or don't need this, and just write down a list of people that you would love to work with. And then let's go through it and let's help you message them, actually contact them, ask a couple people to have a party, and just make sure you're being consistent about your posting and about your messaging with people.
Something I was going to add to that before I forget is sometimes with our loyal customers, we think because they stop ordering after a couple months that they would not be interested in the business. And
yes, absolutely.
And we count them out because she must have not liked the product. She ordered for 3 months and, she turned off her auto shipment. And so we never talked to them about the business.
Right.
Lindsay was kind of that for me. I was like, well, I know she kind of liked it, but, clearly she didn't love it that much. But a lot of times people don't want to be on auto shipment, or they don't have the money, which is exactly why they need to be doing the business. And, something that, if you're following up with your customers, that will help you, and you'll kind of know where they're at with the products and if they like them or not. But something else I would tell you guys, and again, this doesn't totally fit in with what you were saying, but I don't want to forget, if you will tell people from the very beginning about becoming a distributor, even if it's just, when you love the products, I think we should talk about the business, or, just a little nugget, inserting that when you're first talking to them, or before you even put their information in the system, talking somewhat about the business. So that way the whole 3 months that they're using the products, they're thinking about it, instead of them turning off their auto shipment and then you trying to bring up the business, because that's a little bit more awkward.
I think that's something I never used to do, but when I first started, but now I definitely do, because your loyal customers can end up being your best distributors. They're the ones that are on the products, trying the products. They may have sent you customers, and that's a great key to know whenever they're going to be good distributors, is if, so-and-so sent me 5 customers, it's time to tell her she should be doing this business and making money with you. So your loyal customers are definitely a great place to start after they do their 3 months, to follow up and say, hey, I know you're loving the products. Have you ever thought of making extra money with it? You'd be great at this.
And don't be afraid to go back. If you guys have some customers that you never presented the opportunity to, regardless of whether they're still ordering, go back and just say, you know what? I appreciate your orders so much, and I'm happy to take care of you as a customer. You still have wholesale pricing for life. I feel so awful that I never offered this business to you. Either tell them what it's done for your life, or, what you're excited about doing with it, and just offer it to them. I mean, at this point, they're already a customer. They're getting wholesale pricing. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? So if you have customers like that, go back and order. You don't have to be nervous, because you're not going to lose them. They're a loyal customer for life. So just a thought for you. So, okay, what do you tell someone? Because I know this is probably one of the top excuses I get, is when someone says they're too busy for this business.
That usually my top response to that is that I love to work with busy people. That, I was busy when I started this. I was working. I had a 4-month-old, everyone's busy. And if you're busy, that means that you're always around people and that you have the opportunity to share this with tons of people. So, or I'll usually find, and I've been using Tiffany lately as an example, someone on my team that's really busy but doing amazing, and say, you know, I have a girl on my team that works 40 plus hours a week, has a 2-year-old, has a husband, and she is doing amazing in this business, and just help them see that it's possible and that other people are doing the same thing, but that this could end up being an opportunity that makes it where they don't have to be as busy and they can have more free time.
Perfect. That's exactly my response too. I normally say, you know, I was super busy when I joined, and that's exactly why I joined, because I wanted to one day be less busy.
Mm-hmm,
so,
great.
Thank you, Nina. I appreciate it. Sorry, we're already at 9:45. We gotta speed through here. Not really. I want you guys to take your time. If you guys have to jump off the Zoom, then do it. But we have some really good stuff still. So, Lindsay, first question. How do you find people from different walks of life? And tell us a little bit about what you do on social media, because I know you're about to say one of my favorite tips.
Okay. So I build my business through social media. It's, I like there to be a screen in between me and the other person, which is horrible, but sorry, not sorry. I have found that when I post my story, I get the most responses. I get people saying, I just relate to that so much. And I don't do like one angle of my story. You know, some people are going to relate to, I just needed to take my dog to the vet, because I did. That came up right before I joined. Or my car just broke down, or my car broke down and I started crying in the shop because I didn't have the money to fix it, because that's part of my story too. Or I love my job, I just can't pay all my bills comfortably. That's part of my story too. Or I got tired of asking off for vacation. I don't like someone telling me when I can and can't go out of town. Like, that bugged me. And so the people that hate their job and want to do that are going to relate to that. So there's parts of your story that are so different. You know, if you sit down and tell your story to someone, you're going to tell the part of your story to that person that they're going to relate to most. You're going to leave out the part. Like, I don't talk about being single all the time because I want moms to relate to my story too. So I talk about being busy, you know, things like that. You know, I work this with a full-time job, so I was busy. But I also talk about, you know, I'm preparing for my family, my future family, so that the people who have families now can see the possibilities with it. So pick someone that you really want to talk to and type out your story, real short paragraphs, not one long thing, because that's huge too. Like, I will not read even if someone who's an excellent writer posts something that's just one long thing with no paragraphs, no spaces, I will not read it. There is no way. It's just too awful. It hurts my eyes. So short little 2 to 3 sentence paragraphs. I do 3 tops. Sometimes you'll even see one paragraph is just a word or a phrase when I do it. So break it up, make it short and concise, rewrite it until you get it concise, and write it as if you're talking to that one person. So write it as if it's like, girl, let's be real. We've been talking. I was broke. You're broke. That kind of thing. Be real on Facebook. Don't sugarcoat everything. Sometimes you need to be bubbly, but people are going to relate to you being real. Some people are going to relate to you being super positive. So just come at it from every angle you can think of.
And for those of you that are new on here and don't feel like you have a story, you do. Everyone has a story from the first day that they signed up, because you have somewhere that you've been and somewhere that you're headed. So I think it was a tip at conference. They said, you know, write something about your past, your present, and your future. So tell people where you've been, why you joined, where you're at now, and where you're going. You know, and it's not like I joined broke and now I'm a distributor and I'm going Ruby, because people don't know what that means. It has to be more like tangible things, like, you know, I joined this business for this reason, and by this summer I'm, you know, going to be taking my kids to Disney World or whatever. So, you know, like she said, write out your story in a million different ways and start sharing that over and over. it's going to be, it shouldn't be repetitive. It shouldn't be the same thing all the time. But if you think about how often people are seeing your posts, because, they might see one of every 10 posts that you make. So make sure that you're sharing your story often. So,
well, and when at the beginning, your story doesn't have to be financial stuff.
Yeah.
So I had so many people who came up to me. I was 2 months in, and they're like, "You're just so happy. Like, I've never seen you this happy." And I'm like, "I'm having a blast. Like, I love this. I didn't join for fun, but it's fun, and I'm having a blast. I'm meeting new people." So post about that. If you just started and you went to your first meeting or something, post about all the people you just met and how much fun it is. This is one of the most welcoming communities you'll be a part of. So talk about that. Some people just want to have more friends. Like that was me without knowing that was me. I didn't have a lot of friends. And so this has been a godsend for multiple reasons. And some people are just looking for that too. So don't, just because you don't have a financial story yet, you have something. There is something there that you have to share that someone is looking for.
Good stuff. Okay, so I know Lindsay and I work together a lot. What are our top messaging tips for when talking to a potential?
She says our because she taught me everything. Okay.
That's not what I meant, kind of.
Well, you did. Okay, I jotted some down. So one of them, the biggest one for me is keep it simple. Type what you want to type it out, and then stop and delete parts of it that is not necessary. Delete filler sentences, delete LOLs, delete, just simplify it. Get it as concise as possible, because you don't need to answer every question. That's one of my other tips, is don't answer a question that hasn't been asked. And you do that by simplifying. So even your first initial messages, keep them concise. And then if they ask for more information, you don't need to word vomit all over them that it works, it's been around since 2000 and blah, 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 and they're debt free and they're in Florida and they started in Michigan, and they don't need to know that. They don't need to know everything. So try to get it real. Like, I have it down to like 3 sentences for overview of the company, 3 sentences for how we get paid, 3 sentences for why you should join now. Like, get it down and get it short, because people don't want to, people are busy. They don't want to read a novel. Like, that's the last thing they want to do. And a lot of people are like, yeah, send me a link and I'll read over it, which shows that other people are sending people to other websites with a ton of crap on it. So the fact that I'm like, oh no, it's just real simple, I'll tell you here. And I go through it and they're like, oh, that was easy. Like, they appreciate that because you're caring about their time.
The less information they have to process, the faster they will sign up. So all of the filler and the fluff stuff, they feel like they're going to have to learn that and then repeat it.
Exactly.
Which is what I've learned. Like, they're like, wow, now I have to learn the whole history of the company and who the CEO is. And like, I didn't go to school for this. That's too much. So think about what you're teaching them when you're talking to them.
Yeah. Okay. So simple. Okay. The next one is be genuine. People can tell when you're being fake. People know me because a lot of my network is, I went to a tiny high school. A lot of people know that most of my team is from my old high school. Just because we were such a tight little network. So people on Facebook know me, they know my voice. I don't use a lot of emojis because that's not who I am. And people know that if I do that, that's not me. I did not make that post. So I don't use a lot of emojis. I'm not super bubbly because that's just not me. I'm more real and like, let's really get down to this. I don't sugarcoat things. So when I message someone, I act like I'm talking to them across the table. That's a tip that Ashley gave us at one of our training weekends. And you talk to someone like they're across the table from you, and that's going to help you be more genuine. And I also write my posts that way too. But people can tell when it's not you. You don't join this business and the next day you're just this bubbly person who uses emojis all the time. Like, that doesn't happen. So be you. You're the same person you were the day before you started. In your words. So use your words like you would have before. I think that's one of the things that people don't like about seeing all of our stuff is because it all looks the same. So like when I use a post, I tweak it to sound like me. I don't just copy paste. So people don't like when you're fake to them. and they appreciate you being genuine and being honest with them. And then I have one more tip, and it's end with a question every time. So I'll send, can I send you more information, blah, blah, blah. Yes. I will send them my little short overview. Would you like to know how we get paid? Yeah, sure. Send them, okay, well, we get paid these 3 ways. How could $500 a month help you? And then they'll answer, and then I'll say, okay, well, this is why you should join now. Does this sound like something you'd be interested in? Always end with a question, because that's going to keep the conversation going. And never say, let me know. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. You will kick yourself the second you press enter.
Yeah. Perfect. And last thing for you is, what do you tell, because you said you have a really awesome response to this now. So the pressure's on. What do you tell someone when they say they don't have the $99?
Okay. So I charged it whenever I joined. So I don't really relate to that because I put it on a credit card because I didn't have the cash in the bank, which is horrible. But I had a hard time for a year with this question. And finally it was after conference, and it was when I was just ready to go. I was ready to run, and I was sick of people giving me excuses. So I just got real, and I've had the best response, because these people that don't have the money, they're always beating around the bush. And I want to say, okay, I hear you. And let's be real with each other. Okay. And let's make it happen. So I've used this a couple of times and have had really, really good responses. And she said, I would love to do this. I just don't have the money to start. And I said, girl, that's why you need to do this business with me. I'm going to tell you what I told myself when I joined, because I didn't have the money either. Nothing changes if nothing changes. I have girls on my team who have sold stuff on Craigslist or held a small garage sale. I cut coupons and cut back where possible. I made it work. And I know this business can change your life like it did mine if you just jump in. And I mean, since sending that and being real with them and saying, look, let's make it happen, they've really responded to me. And sometimes they'll say, yes, okay, I really need to do this. Okay. And then a couple days later, I'm like, okay, how's it going? What can we do? Let's brainstorm. How can we get you the money? And that's one of the ones I had contact me from working with for 10 months. It's like, I have the money now. And I thought she gave up because I hadn't heard from her for so long, and I was going to follow up with her tomorrow, actually. And then 2 days ago, she was like, I have the money. And I was like, ah. So like, if they want it, they will get the money.
I've been using the Craigslist garage sale thing too. I don't often offer for people to pre-sell their wraps unless there's someone that really wants to do a party. I don't have luck with that. And, take it with a grain of salt. Some of you guys might have awesome luck with people pre-selling wraps. But what I found is if they put it out there on Facebook that they're pre-selling wraps, who responds? All the people that think the wraps don't work or think it's silly. And then immediately those people just get this bug in their ear and they end up not signing up. That's what's happened to me, because they're not saying I'm now selling these products. They're usually saying I'm thinking about selling wraps. Who wants to buy one? And then everyone throws out their opinion. So, I have had people do it where they have their potential distributors send out a private message and ask people if they will try a wrap for the $25 to help them pay for their kit. And so I do think there's ways to do it. But for me, I've gotten a better response if I have had people sell things to join the team. So that's usually what I say. And you guys might not have someone in your downline that's sold something to sign up, but you can say in all honesty that there are people on our team that have sold things on Craigslist to become a distributor. So that's kind of what I do too. So moving along, Andrea, what qualities do you look for in potential distributors, and how and where do you find those people?
Qualities, I look for somebody, first of all, friendly, outgoing, someone that attracts people around them, somebody that seems like they have a lot of, if I just know them from social media, I look at their posts, I see how many comments do they get and how many likes do they get whenever they get selfies. If they're just taking like some little selfie and they're getting like 100+ likes, somebody like that. I find them literally just everywhere I am. I always tell everybody on my team, look for people where you are in your life right now. If you're a mom, obviously like me, I put my kids in soccer. I put my kids in extracurricular activities to meet other parents. School parties, holiday parties. I try to go to every single one, and I always try to meet up their parents there, take pictures of their kids, and I'll be like, hey, are you on Facebook? Add me, and I'll tag you. I'll send these pictures to you. Anything like that. We do a lot of our meetings at indoor playgrounds because a lot of my team is moms. So whenever we're there, I always will try to find somebody, and I'll just start talking like, hey, your kid's so cute, you know. If you're not a parent, I'll tell my team, obviously don't go to indoor playgrounds. Like, just wherever you are in your life, use that network because that's where you are. Don't try to do something that is not you. You know what I mean? So.
Perfect. Okay, I'm going to flip-flop your questions that I already gave you, but what would you tell someone if they think the business is too saturated or they know too many people that are doing it?
Well, first of all, I tell them, I know it seems like that, but, you know, I always tell them, we actually only have like 100,000 distributors, you know, worldwide, and that's compared to like Mary Kay, who has like over 3 million. And it's kind of like me, like with whenever I bought my new car. When I bought it because I was like, oh, I've never seen anybody drive this car. Like, it's so cute. Nobody's ever seen it. And I was like, I'm going to be the only person driving around. And then sure enough, the next day I see all these little cars that are exactly like mine driving around town. And so I just tell them it's probably just because you're noticing it more. And that's also the beauty of social media. You know, we have tools and documents and stuff to help you think back to who did you go to elementary school with? Who did you go to college with? That's the awesome thing about social media is you can, you know, market to the people you already know, or you can just go to people that you don't even know that are totally your cold market. And also, like, though it seems maybe like, yeah, you've known a lot of people that have signed up, but not very many people stay active and are actively still working in the business.
I like to point out, usually I'll ask like, well, have you tried the products yet? And usually the answer is no, if that's their response. And so I said, you know, think about how many people are just like you that are seeing it all over the place and aren't signing up because they think too many people are doing it. But yet there's a ton of people just like you that haven't even tried the products yet. So, okay. So what would be your number one tip for signing distributors if there's someone brand new on this Zoom saying, I need to go Ruby in 30 days. I don't have any distributors yet. What's your advice?
A lot of us actually, I was listening to everybody and we all like have the same tips. It's like, we must have been trained by the same leaders. But my number one thing is to instill belief. And that's with everybody in your customers, in your product, but distributors. I never ask somebody, hey, do you think you might want to do the business with me? Would you be interested in joining? I don't really even give them that option. I instantly message them, and I am like you, Alyssa. Like, I tell them, hey, you would be so awesome. I can't stop thinking about you. This is why you would be awesome. And I already, before they've even like joined my team, I try to like already make them like picture and vision big things for their life, you know? And I'm like, I just see huge things for you, and I know you could do this. And so before they've even joined, I've told them, you know, this is what I think you could do and what you're capable of. And if you're wanting to go Ruby in 30 days, work with urgency. And I don't mean like just post here and there. I mean, like, seriously, like if you want to go Ruby in 30 days, first of all, you can't be afraid to message people. You can't be afraid to post on Facebook. I know a lot of times people think, oh, well, I posted too much, because I used to think that. And I still do sometimes. I think, oh, I've posted too much, you know. But as long as you're also like, making personal posts and posting other things about your life, you can just like post all day, but just make sure it's not just full of it work stuff completely and totally. But I would just say work with urgency, and ask people to sign up and ask them to be a distributor. Ask them, like Christy said, just to ask. I've had so many people on my team that, you know, they haven't worked with urgency, and they haven't just straight up said like, hey, I can take your order right now. Like, would you like to order from my website, or do you want me to order for you? I always say that. And I pretty much always input the orders myself because it gets done quicker, and I don't like to let them sit around, because if you just kind of say, hey, do you want to order, or here's my website, more than likely they're not going to, a lot of times they won't order, or they're going to end up signing with somebody else that comes and asks and just says, hey, let's get your order in right now.
I love it. Okay, well, real quick, I wanted to give you guys some of Tiffany's tips. Only because she had some really awesome answers to the questions that I was going to ask her. And obviously she went diamond in 4 months. So I think you guys would love to hear some tips from her. So I basically asked her, is there anything that you feel like that would set you apart, or something that you're doing differently than you see other distributors doing? Because you're having people not only sign up, she's signing up a bunch of distributors, but she's also having people go after that Ruby bonus pretty quickly. So the first thing she said, we've already talked about it. She's very, very personal. She doesn't use the cookie cutter messages. She takes some time to actually think about these people and why they would be good at the business. She talks to them as if they are right in front of her. She also, I thought this was interesting, she will tell someone, okay, let's say someone told me no in February. In March, she will message that person and say, I have you as a no on my list from last month. However, I just wanted to run this by you one more time to see if things have possibly slowed down, or, whatever their excuse was. So she said she likes to straight up tell them that they are a no, because people don't like to be no's. People like to say yes. And she said she owns up to bugging people. And for example, happy Thursday, Lacey. I know, it's me again. I'm here to bug you about this crazy, amazing company again, LOL. We have 15 days left to be eligible for a $1,000 Ruby bonus, ... So that's kind of how I am too. Like if I feel like I might be bugging someone, I just go ahead and say it. I'm sorry that I'm bugging you again. I just know how awesome you would be. I feel like I'm probably annoying you, but I really want to do this business with you. I just tell them because I feel like you're not bugging them if you tell them that, if you say it. So she kind of said the same thing about the website. She offers to put them in. Sorry, I'm just reading her notes. Okay, so one other question that I wanted to ask her, and this isn't necessarily about signing distributors, but how to get distributors started when you do sign them. And I asked her specifically, again, because she has people that are signing up and are getting started quickly, which I know if you guys want to go Ruby quickly or want to reach your next promotion quickly, you need to be able to sign people, but you also need them to do stuff, because we can only do so much, especially as our teams grow. We have to be able to train our distributors to be successful on their own, and we have to be able to empower them. So this is what she says about training her new distributors. I do not tag them in every post on the Facebook page. That's important. Okay. I do not tag everyone on every post on the Facebook pages. You guys, I see it happen every time we sign a new distributor. They'll get tagged in 6 or 7 files and posts. And while all that's great, a lot of times those people don't even see that till later that night, and they don't even go look to see what they've been tagged in. So, take a little bit more time and talk to them on the phone for 15, 20 minutes when you first sign them up, and then say, I'm going to tag you in one thing. Please look it over and let me know when you've watched that video. And then, the next day, take a specific post that you love to tag people in, and instead of tagging them in it, copy and paste it and send it to them, and add a little personal thing in there. Say, I saw this and thought of you because I know you were having trouble with this, and send it to them. If you're going to tag people in things, comment and say, I'm tagging you in this because XYZ, and tell them why specifically you're tagging them in that one thing, maybe 2. That's it. She said she focuses on sharing before and after pictures with her new distributors. She gives them a few sample posts. Again, tell them to edit it to fit their personality. She gives them one good starter video. So whatever your favorite video is for helping people get started with the basics, she welcomes them in a post, or has them make their first post. And more than anything, she said, you don't want them to get overwhelmed. Give them small, obtainable goals. Let them get the small wins. I think that's what Ashley says. Like, we're just trying to get them their first win. So whether that's their first loyal customer, or even their first message or their first lead. And then, let's see. And then she said she sends them their charts. So as she gets going, kind of, don't throw it all there at once as they sign their first distributor, or, if they get their 4 loyals, then pull out the Ruby chart, kind of send them. And that's something that I've started doing too, is sending out someone's Ruby chart once they've got their 4 loyal customers, and kind of giving them an example of how to fill out that chart. So, let's see. And Nina, she gave you credit for being an amazing leader. But I think that's it. So lots of good tips from her, but I'm not going to continue to read it because I feel like that's really boring of me. So we'll just have her on another Zoom and let her share things with you. before you guys go, I'm just going to tell you kind of what changed in my business and what I think made the difference for me going from signing 20 to 70 distributors. A lot of it was just attitude, guys. Number one, I decided I wanted to do this full time. So I was already a triple at the time, but I had been managing and just kind of hanging out at triple for 3 years. And so when I decided I wanted to do this full time, I knew I had to make some changes, that I no longer could be leading by just posting on the Facebook page. I knew if I wanted to make it to the next level, I had to go out and find more people that wanted this business. And then I needed to be the leader that I wanted to find, that I needed to be the rock star that I wanted on my team. So for me, it was just a matter of shifting this to being like my side thing and my plan B to making it my plan A. And, you know, like Lindsay said, this wasn't ever her idea. Like, she didn't want to do this full time. She liked her job. She loved her job. I think you can still make this more of a priority than a lot of us do if you are wanting to do this, you know, more full-time, or to make a full-time income, even still doing it part-time. I think that is something that has to shift mentally. And then the other thing is, and Shauna Guest told me this, who's another presidential. I remember exactly where I was when she told me this, and that's how I know that it changed my business, because she said, you need to start treating this business like it's a no-brainer. Like, it makes no sense for people to not be a distributor. And I feel like I had heard that 100 times, but something just clicked that day, and I was like, it's so true. Why would people sign up for 3 months of products? They're going to spend at least $100 unless they're ordering Fat Fighters, basically. But they're going to spend $100 and they could start their own business. And all they have to do is refer 4 friends and they're going to get 120 in free product. So don't hear me wrong. I don't want you guys to all go sign up your brothers and sisters and neighbors to be a distributor because it's a no-brainer. You still want people that want to work this business, but what I found is a lot of people are scared that they're going to fail, and so they'd rather just never try. And I think by running it more like a trial distributorship, like, why would you not try it for 60, 90 days? I'd rather people give it a year, but if it'll take them 2-3 months to get plugged in and start learning and get excited about it, and then who knows? But taking failure completely off the table. What's the worst thing that could happen? So I started asking people, what's your worst case scenario? Because for me, I spent $99 on a box of wraps that I wanted to try anyways, and then I got wholesale pricing for a year. That was the very worst case scenario. And my best case scenario was that I completely changed my life. So, I started putting those out there for people, kind of asking them what their worst case scenario was, and then asking them what if. And for a lot of people, that made all the difference. And, then I feel like they had that attitude when they talked to their friends, look, I just signed up. I'm going to try it out for a couple months. I know I want to try the products anyways. So why don't you just sign up as a distributor too? What's the worst thing that could happen? And so all these people started having this attitude and signing up a ton of distributors because they all just decided, let's just give it some time. Let's just, give it 60, 90 days. And then again, it just trickled down, and all these people started finding success because they were getting trial distributors that ended up falling in love with the business. Because I think we can give them every single piece of information to join this business, but the important thing is finding a way for them to get into the business. And then once they do, they fall in love with it. So anyways, for me, it was just changing this business, making it a no-brainer. And I feel like I sign way more distributors than I do customers now, and that is okay with me. But again, it's just an attitude that you have to have. So if you don't believe that this business is amazing and that it's worth the $99 to give it a shot, then I highly recommend talking to your sponsor or doing some more research on network marketing, and getting plugged into some of these girls' stories, because if you feel like it's a no-brainer, so that attitude will come off to your potentials. So that's my little tidbit on that. And that's really all we've got for you guys tonight. I just wanted you to hear mainly that we follow up like crazy people. The only reason that we are where we're at is because we've talked to more people and we've never given up on our potentials, and that we've just found simple ways to talk to people, to keep the business very, very simple. And we've been coachable, because I know all of these girls are, you know, I use Lindsay because she's personally enrolled to me, but I know Andrea and everyone else is the same. They stayed plugged in. They asked for help. They sent screenshots. They asked questions. They've, you know, if you guys are open to being coached and open to changing things and getting criticism and, you know, constructive criticism, then you guys can be just as successful, if not more successful, at signing up distributors. Some of it is just the learning process. So I appreciate you guys being on. I hope you found something helpful with it. And that's all. So I hope you guys all have a good night. Thank you for you guys that got on.